All right, so it's if you're able, turn on your cameras and let's go around the room. Introductions today, we'll just say who you are, if you're a landlord or a service provider, and where your properties are or where your business. If you're a service provider, what area you're providing services in, and if you are a landlord, what area you have your properties in. So, all right, we'll start up. I'll just go with my screen. I've got Megan Appleby up in my top left corner. We'll start with you.
Hello, I'm Megan Appleby. I'm a realtor and I serve the Central Florida, Tampa Bay area.
Excellent. And do you have properties? Are you an investor also, or just investor friendly?
I'm investor friendly, no properties yet, but definitely someday, hopefully soon.
Excellent. Great. All right, Andrew.
Yes, so I am not currently very active in real estate at the moment. I'm looking to potentially purchase a property actually that I live in that the owner is selling in Davenport. But I'm looking to buy property in Orlando and possibly Tampa. But right now, me and my business partner run Airbnb, manage Airbnb properties for other investors here in Orlando and in a few other locations. But the goal is to buy our own properties. Obviously, that's the ideal.
Excellent. Awesome. Orlando area. Thanks. Jacoby.
Yes, sir. Jacoby Truman, just go by Truman, out of the Tampa area. I'm neither a landlord nor a service provider, but I'm looking to become like a landlord, or I'm trying to get into real estate investing, essentially. Yeah. So I just figured, no better way to learn the ins and outs other than out of being a landlord first and foremost, and just take the information I get from there and apply it as best as I see fit. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
There you go. Awesome. Welcome.
Appreciate you.
Eric.
Hey everyone, my name's Eric Wittenberg. I actually live in Minneapolis, Minnesota right now, but me and my fiance are moving to Tampa in July, and we currently don't own property, but we're interested in house hacking something in Tampa, probably by the start of 2024. So yeah, looking forward to getting to know you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Derek Carrillo.
Hey, good evening here on Tuesday. Derek Carrillo. I am a real estate attorney and I service all over Florida, work on the landlord side for any kind of landlord-tenant issues that may arise.
Awesome. And Brian Olivio Olivolo.
Brian Olivolo.
Olivolo.
I live in Fort Myers. I have a landlord. I have a duplex in Fort Myers Beach. I've had it for a couple of years. Had a little bit of damage in the Hurricane Ian. Hasn't quite been fixed yet, but both sides are still livable. And the property itself has really turned out to be a blessing for me. I would like to get at least one, hopefully two more duplexes, or one bigger property, like a 5 to 10 unit property. So working on that right now.
Nice.
But Fort Myers is the area where I'm in.
Fort Myers, awesome. Brian, are you able to unmute safely?
Hi. Yes, sorry, I caught me on the road today. But I'm Brian Young. I'm with Mitchell Dean Realty. I'm a realtor. I handle the long-term management with Gold Star Management. We manage in the greater Tampa Bay area. Honestly, some of our short-term rentals are all the way down in Sarasota. So really the greater Tampa Bay area. But yeah, long-term management. I also handle our maintenance too. And I just purchased a house up in Holiday, which is where I'm driving from, back to where I currently live in Tampa, doing some renovations over there. Going to be one of our long-term rental properties.
Nice. Awesome, thanks. Let's see here. Janet Kano.
Shane.
Hi, everybody. How are you? My name is Janet
Good.
Cano. I'm actually in Las Vegas and in California, so I have dual state. I go back and forth. And we do have we have 2 properties out here in Vegas, and we have a property out in California as well, looking to expand into Ohio. And I have a real estate concierge company. So I help all of our property managers, landlords, realtors, brokers, how to guide and support all of your tenants on setting up all of their utilities. So it's all the annoying stuff that you guys don't like doing. We do it with a smile.
That's awesome. And you can work anywhere in the country, right, Janet?
And yes, and we are nationwide.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you.
I got Jeremy Whitaker next.
Yeah, my business partner and I, Courtney, we have a property management and company and brokerage. They service the Tampa Bay area, consultation, long-term rentals, management of short-term rentals as well.
All right, nice. Thanks. Let's see here. Now, I've got you as Regina McMahon, but you don't look like a Regina. You're muted.
Hi.
Oh, there's a Regina. All right.
You good?
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I clicked on the link, the email link that you had sent over Regina to log into the meeting. So
That's awesome. And what was your
Good
name, sir?
to see you.
What was your name?
Shane.
Shane. I've had you before, haven't we?
Yeah, no, not on this. You and I met at the RGA meeting.
That's where I know you from.
Hey, Regina was there.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, good to have you. Do you have properties? Are you a landlord?
Nope. What we do is we're in support of landlords and property managers, owners, investors, homeowners. What we do is, like pods, we protect assets, whether it be something from along the lines of a tenant's belongings or materials that an owner or investor is using on a job site. So if you can think of pods, you can think of us. We also support the owners and landlords with trash out services, things along those lines. So we're in support of the guys like you that own the properties.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. Greta.
Hi,
Greta.
my name is Greta Andrews. I am out of St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm a brand new landlord. I bought a triplex about a year ago. Kept the tenants for a little while, then started renovations. So I have no tenants. I need to learn how to look for tenants and, the whole shebang of learning to be a new landlord.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people here that can teach you well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. It's a great place. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So people, let's see, Jacoby. We had Jacoby, Brian, we had Eric, David. You there, David?
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm also on the road.
You driving?
I am a landlord doing house hacking like Derek wants to do with a single family house. So I'm renting out the rooms.
Nice.
And I also am a realtor as well.
And you're in the Tampa area, correct?
Yep, I am in Tampa.
Awesome. Thanks for being
a
here.
lot of people from Tampa today.
Yeah, we had
No
quite a
problem.
few. Yeah. In the past, we've had a good mix of, especially from Fort Myers. And today we only had a couple from Fort Myers. So I got to get back down there. I was at a networking event in Fort Myers last week, and had some people show some interest, and then I couldn't get in touch with them afterwards. So we'll have to get back down there and meet them again in person. So, all right, let's see. We got Caitlin. Caitlin, are you on?
Which one? We've got
Caitlin Jones. Caitlin Jones.
yeah, well, that's okay. I'm actually with Mitchell Dean Realty with Brian and the other Caitlin. So we're all three here attending.
Okay.
We all three are in management. So Brian does long-term. Caitlin and I are doing Caitlin squared. We are doing both short-term management.
Caitlin squared. I like that.
If it helps, you can call me CJ, and she goes by Katie.
Katie and CJ.
Yeah.
All right.
We're all licensed realtors here, the three of us, and we're all representing the same brokerage, but we all do very different things. So figured that we could all benefit by being here.
Yeah, great. All right. And then we have Seldine. Seldine McField. Are you on? Oh, there she is. Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can. It's good to see you.
Hi. I am a service provider. I provide cleaning services. So I do I'll be able to provide service to any of you guys that need help with your properties being cleaned. And I am out of the Tampa greater, I'm out of Gibsonton, but out of Tampa area.
Out of Tampa area. Okay, great. All right. So looks like we got a lot of business owners on here and some landlords. We're going to go to breakout rooms in just a minute. I got Andrew is setting those up for us. And here's what I want you to discuss among yourselves in the breakout rooms. You'll probably have to turn your cameras on. So what is an example of how you've had to change how you do business over the past 5 years? And then to carry on from that, what changes do you see coming in the next 5 years that will affect how you do business? So this is a good question for even if you're a service provider or if you're a landlord. You know, what changes have you seen in the business that you've had to adapt to that's caused you to change the way you do business as a landlord or as a service provider? And what do you foresee in the next few years coming down the pipe that would cause you to have to do business differently? And so let's, Andrew, you got those breakout rooms ready?
Hey, how many do you want per breakout room?
Let's see. We
got like 14, 15, including me and you.
Yeah. So how about 3 or 4 per breakout room?
Okay.
And then let's set the breakout rooms for 10 minutes. So, and then when you go to the breakout rooms, the person leading the discussion is the person with the longest hair. So you have to turn your cameras on so we can see who that's going to be. All right. Person with the longest hair, you lead the discussion and we'll get a report from you when we come back. Go ahead, Andrew. Send them away. Welcome back, everyone.
Yay! We're all here.
You're still here. All right, great. So who was our? We had 4 rooms. Who was the leader in room 1? Who had the best room?
We did.
We did.
There we go. All right, who was the leader in room 1? Do you know which rooms you were in?
No.
I was about to
No,
say,
we
I
did
know
not.
that I led one. I'm not sure which room it was.
Room 1 was Brian, Olivalo, Caitlin Jones. I'm sorry, CJ, Derek.
Yeah, that's me.
Regina. So whoever you guys choose as your leader, I suppose.
All right, I want to hear reports. What did you guys come up with as the things that you had to change the most in doing your business over the past 5 years?
Uh-oh, I'll be honest with you. We got a little off topic talking about short-term rentals. If I had to answer that though, short-term rental is constantly evolving. So we are ever changing, ever adjusting. So the past 5 years has been a whirlwind for us, building our business and just constantly, getting creative. We did talk about that a little bit. And I'm sorry I can't bring my camera on. I've got a little bit of a software issue on my end. I'm working to get that fixed.
No worries, no worries. So CJ, have you guys evolved your business into, as far as short-term rentals, into using a lot of the electronic stuff where doesn't require anybody to be there at all?
Yes, really good question. Absolutely. We really depend. I have a whole team at my back, which, by the way, I invite Katie to chime in, but yes, a big part of our team is electronics and softwares that we use. And, I'll be honest with you, we do have a team, but we're 24/7 on call and we can't all be, in multiple places at once. So we do rely on, certain automations and softwares. Like I said, technology is huge in our business.
Nice. Good. So, who was in room 2?
That was Katie, Eric, David, and Brian Young.
So, do we have a report from room 2? Who was our leader in room 2? Did anybody take charge?
Brian definitely took charge.
Brian.
Hey friends. So yeah, I mean, changes that we've seen happen. I know we talked about, and I haven't been in the game for 5 years, but if I'm not mistaken, the appraisal or the tax, the taxable value of your property used to be only able to increase by a certain amount. Now, when you sell the property, that's the new taxable value. So paying those taxes monthly, that's something that went up for landlords in the past 5 years. We were talking also about, the fact that we printed a bunch of money and what that might do to the economy, with other countries possibly not using the dollar as their backup anymore, their reserves, and what that could do as well, and how that's kind of encouraging to landlords to get some also the scare of the 1031 possibly going away, and that I know has been in battle for a little bit. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but that would be a major change for a lot of people in the real estate investing dealings. Yeah.
Those are some deep subjects there.
Yeah, we a lot to say on each one because they could be pretty major for each of us.
I will say that it's like every time they go through budget arguments in Congress, these things come up. Things about self-directed IRAs, 1031 exchanges, all those kind of things. And it seems like it's a constant battle. And that's why they have lobbyists up there that, from landlord associations and things like that. The realtors, there's a National Real Estate Investors Association, NRIA, that keep lobbyists up on Capitol Hill just to fight for those type of things.
Thank God for them.
I just think that the lawmakers don't always think all of the things through when they're trying to do these things. They things like, in fact, I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago who he believes that within the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to try to enact national rent controls. And,
yeah.
And that's while it may be well-intentioned, it usually has a very bad effect when they do things.
There's a really great Bigger Pockets episode about that and how he kind of debunks the rent regulations. But we were also talking in our group about how we can kind of see regulations and things moving towards making it a little bit more difficult on landlords to be landlords, in the rose-colored glasses of making it easier on home buyers, on these, first-time home buyers and people getting things at prices that they can get in the houses at. But I think they're forgetting about the renters, people who can't buy houses and still need places to live, they are relying on landlords, on us, to give them a place to live, and that's run properly. So yeah, that it's an interesting future, that's for sure.
Well, sounds like you guys had a great discussion in there. What about room 3? Who was in room 3, Andrew? That was your room, wasn't it?
That was our room. I believe Janet or Megan was the leader in that room. One of them. Whoever wants to share, I suppose.
Hi, everybody. Well, I think Andrew said something really key as far as the importance of being open-minded, the collaboration, and kind of thinking ahead. So that was one of the biggest things. Megan, I was actually really excited that she's 5 months into real estate out in Tampa, and she's just, doing some incredible things. Saldine is in service, and so, she was a little bit more shy. So I think it's great to be supportive for people who have never been in these types of networking groups, which I think is so valuable, because that's one of the things for us where we felt like people aren't as supportive. So having these types of groups, I think, is really important for people that are starting out in certain areas, in organization, businesses, and whatnot. So that was what I thought was really, really important. On my side, I really felt like the customer service and the retention to provide more value to our tenants, I think, is a really big deal. One of the things that I shared was the type of wording that we've changed. Like, I'll give you an example. We have 2 landlords that they just purchased their properties. They have multi-units, and they had us come in as the concierge side. And so the tenants had never heard something like that before. They were like, what? There's a free no concierge cost for me, and you're going to help me set up and come into my home and space. And so providing that extra value to keep our tenants there and let them know that we appreciate them being in our homes. So that was something that I really brought a lot of I think is a big deal. And then from there, because I also have a nonprofit, I also spoke on increasing volume with the type of companies that we work with, opposed to realtors and just lenders. I now work with like multi-unit developments, 290 plus units, startup build-ups, and then adding value by supporting foundation and nonprofits along the side too. So that was something I shared a little bit about as far as what we see in growth, really focusing on some volume to not talk about the recession, as far as like Andrew had suggested, as far as that fear. So really moving forward in confidence.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. All right, room 4, you're up. Jacoby?
Yeah, I guess I did a lot of talking, but I don't think I was a leader. Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that we talked about in that group was just technology. Yeah, technology really taking over as far as what's been the biggest change over the past 5 years, and like what's to come. Yeah, technology for sure. But then if there's me, I asked a lot of offbeat questions, so it was kind of went off topic for sure. But along those questions, it was technology.
Technology. How do you see technology affecting our businesses in the next 5 years?
So personally, I'm thinking more automation. So cutting out a couple of middlemen here and there. That's yeah. But I'm not really in the business. So, but that's my thought process.
Yeah, no doubt. You don't have to be in the business to be able to think about the business and glean insights, right? So, hey, how do you think AI is going to affect our business? Think AI is going to be buying houses and renting them out here before long? No, probably not. But
virtual reality, though.
Oh, true.
What is AI? What is that?
Artificial intelligence.
Oh,
so it's been on the radar for a lot of years, but it seems to be really in the news this year, really busting out. But 5 years ago it was something else, and in 5 years it'll probably be something else, assuming the machines haven't taken over yet.
Some of the stuff we talked about too was the difference between like a large property management company who can afford some of the software and technology that maybe a landlord who has a couple of units just like can't afford to do it. So we work for a big company while we have our small business, and the differences between having software that checks for like fraudulent pay stubs, fraudulent bank statements, fraudulent IDs that like the small individual landlord just doesn't have the ammunition to be able to come in with and prevent themselves from being screwed, basically. And we'll see what the next 5 years brings, if that kind of technology is easier and more accessible for the individual or someone who has 4 units or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I know, and that is difficult. I know there are service providers that will provide some of those services, but if you don't have a rather substantial portfolio, sometimes it's not worth it to have that service. Sometimes it's better to just hire a property manager, right? That was exactly what you wanted to hear me say, right? So, hey, listen, I wanted to let you know, I'm going to drop it in the chat. Let's see here. Let's see. All right, so let me see if I can get this out here. I think that I can put a file in the chat. So I'm going to drop in the chat. This is the Derek passed this to me today, and this is a bill. Derek, has this bill passed the House, or is it in the House right now? It passed, right?
Passed, goes in effect July 1st.
Okay, so this is House Bill 1417. I'm passing that to you in the chat. Go ahead, Derek. I wanted to let you take a minute, explain this to us, and tell us what it means for landlords, if you would, please.
Yeah, thanks, Garrett. So just me being the nosy lawyer that I am, I always research landlord-tenant statutes because that's what my sandbox that I play in, and I like to, most of my clientele are landlords. And so this is the bill that passed is going to have 3 effects, really. So the first effect is creating a new statute is 83-425. Basically what that is doing is giving the states preemption over all of these local city ordinances that form their tenants' bill of rights. So Hillsborough County has them, Broward, Miami-Dade, and what those tenants' bill of rights were kind of put more burdens on landlord to kind of enforce their statutory rights, and it made them jump through a few more hoops, kind of added harder hurdles to overcome to do just their, any evictions or any kind of notice of renewals if they wanted to do an increase over 5% in the rent. And this statute here basically is wiping out all those ordinances and is basically putting the power back in the state of Florida as a whole to enact these types of things should they decide to do so. So again, I always reinforce this: Florida is a very landlord-friendly state. This is because of the lobbyists that didn't want, they saw issues with differing city ordinances that seemed to conflict with state law. And so they got this passed, which is good for landlords because it's going to now remove those burdens as of July 1st. The second big portion they passed was they modified how many days you need to terminate for a oral month-to-month tenancy. So as it stands today, you just have to give 15 days notice prior to the end of the monthly period in which you want to terminate the lease. Now that's being changed to 30. So basically, if you want them out, let's say today's Tuesday, May 9th. So if you want them out by July 1st, you would need to give that notice by May 31st. And so the 30 days, it has to be at the end of a monthly period. It cannot end in the middle of a period. So I don't know if that's something you guys knew beforehand, but just a good rule of thumb, no matter what, it's got to end on the last day of the month that you want them out. And then the last portion that was edited was 83,575. And this deals with tenants who are vacating and need to give notice, and also landlords who are going to give non-renewal notices. Now they made it a minimum and maximum days. So now instead of being greater than 60, which the statute was before, you have to give it in between 30 and 60 days, not less than 30, not more than 60 days. So you have a sweet spot in which you as a landlord, if you do not want to renew their lease, you need to give them a notice of non-renewal. Or if you would like the landlord to, or would like the tenant to give you notice that they're going to vacate, it'll have to be between 30s and 60 days before the end of that period. And a caveat on this, and which you may not know, this is only if the lease has this provision in the lease, right? So custom leases, if you're an apartment complex manager, I know they have this provision in there, but if you just use the standard FAR lease, this provision isn't in there. So this technically wouldn't apply because it's not in the lease. It's the provision only applies if you put it in the lease. So if you have a custom lease, you use it FAA lease, an NAA lease, which is the apartment leases, this will apply to you. So just 3 things you want to be aware of, especially with, if I think we had a landlord say that she bought a triplex that had tenants in there and that she did a renovation. Usually those tenants are on a month to month. So had this been July 2nd, you would have had to give them 30 days on that July 2nd, and they would have had to been out by, well, actually that would have given them the entire month of August. So you would have had to get it prior to July to have that applicable. So I know I just spoke a lot and you maybe have not had a time to digest it. So I'm happy to answer any kind of questions that may have arisen now or will arise regarding these, the future amendments here.
Is this beneficial to landlords, Derek?
The preemption statute absolutely is. Again, it's basically taking out, it's putting the right and authority under state law and basically saying cities, you can't write ordinances that are in conflict with state law. So that is very friendly for landlords because it's basically putting everything back up into the statutes which is very landlord friendly. And I think I had mentioned CJ, I was kind of grilling her about the short-term rentals and the regulations because she's in Clearwater, where if you're in Clearwater, you know that there's a 30-day minimum, and it's a very, very tough city. I've dealt with code enforcement, done code enforcement hearings there with them, and represented a lot of short-term portfolios. But there is legislation being pushed around in the next, I don't think it'll get through this year or next year, that will do the same thing for short-term rentals. It will wipe out all the city ordinances, county ordinances, and it'll put it on a state level. I don't think it'll happen for another couple years, realistically. I know it's been proposed, but I think it will happen, and Florida will basically just kind of write their own short-term rental statutes, and it'll apply to the whole state. So, Gary, your question was perfectly applicable. What do I see in 5 years? Statewide short-term rental legislation, and then possibly more little tweaks here and there to the landlord-tenant statutes as is.
Wow, a statewide short-term rental regulation would be amazing. That's a game changer for a lot of people. I mean, that stops the whole thing where investors come in and invest in something that's maybe sort of sketchy, if it's going to lose money if it's a long-term rental, but it does very well as a short-term rental. And then all of a sudden the city or the comes behind and says, oh, we've decided to ban short-term rentals in this area, and investors are losing money that way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of people that got into this with a certain idea of how things, how they wanted things to go, or, just weren't advised the right way. And, as I mentioned, it's ever changing, but, right now I was actually telling, Derek earlier, it's pocket by pocket right now. it would be nice to have it the same across the board. So
Yeah, that's amazing. That would be great. And when do you foresee that coming through, Derek? Next year, you think?
I would say within the next 5 years. So you're asking about the 5-year window, what I can see. I would say then again, it's getting pushed from both sides, right? So you have cities legislating against the state lobbyists to say that, no, we want to keep this power, we reserve the right to do this. And then you have the state lobbyists saying, hey, you guys are all, doing A through Z and you don't have a uniform policy and we want to get the state straight, while also basically telling them, hey, look, for the cities and counties that ban it, do you understand the tax ramification that you're not reaping in? State of Florida alone brought in $375 million in taxes alone last year from short-term rentals. That's just in taxes. Think about all the other administrative fees they could legislate, that they could bring in, any other, they may even go to licensing. You may have to have a license to do so, in terms of almost like a real estate license or like a CAM license to manage condo associations. So there's lots of stuff being thrown around, but both sides have strong lobbying positions. And that's why I said, I don't, it's been thrown around already. I don't see it here for the next couple of years, at least. So like I said, 5-year window, I see something happening though. We'll revisit in 5 years.
Derek, can I ask you a question? You're back to the statute, something to do with the 15-day, the month-to-month tenancy. So I
Yes.
didn't really understand what you're saying about the 15 days to now changing to 30.
Okay. So let's just use the month of May, for example. So if you had a tenant on month-to-month lease, or written, so it's not written. And let's say you wanted them out by June 1st. Well, the statute says right now that you have to give them at least 15 days notice before the end of that period. So today's May 9th. There are 31 days in May. So the latest you could give them that notice would be May 16th. If you gave it May 17th, that would put their end of their term, end their tenancy in July, because you failed to give it within that 15 days. Now, effective this July, it would be 30 days. So now if you wanted to,
I'm kind of confused with how it can go all the way to July.
because there's 15 days. So you have to give it within 15 days of the end of the period. If not, it will allow you to terminate the following rental period because you didn't comply with the statute.
So it has to end within that, the end of the month, within that month.
Mhm.
Is that it?
Yep. So days that have 30 days, you need to give it by the 15th. Days that have 31 days, you need to give it by the 16th. And then obviously, February, depending on if it's a leap year or not, it'll vary depending on the day that you need to give it.
Okay. So that's month to month. And then there was, what was it? The other statute. You were saying something about the maximum days was not less than 30.
Yeah, 83-575 deals with, if your lease contains a provision regarding non-renewal, and if you require the tenant to give you notice to vacate. Now, if it's in your lease, you have to now require them. It has to be either notice given from either party. So if you say, Joy, you're not giving Derek the right to renew, you need to give it within 30 to 60 days of the end of that lease. It can't be any less, it can't be any more. And then if I, Derek, as a tenant say, hey, Joy, I'm going to vacate, I'm vacating at the end of this term, I have to give it to you between 30 and 60 days.
Right. And then if you do give it to them within those 30 days and then they still don't leave, then you then have the right to go do an eviction. Is that it?
Correct. Yeah, and that would be a holdover eviction, and that's governed by 8358. So yes, you are correct.
Okay. I kind of have a current situation at this point where I'm trying to get the tenant out, and I gave her the 30-day notice and she is still not moving out. And so, okay.
I'd be happy to talk about it offline. No problem. Feel free to reach out anytime. I'm I'm happy to
Oh,
talk
that would
about it.
be awesome if you could help me out. Yeah, because I'm trying to deal with how to work this out with the tenant. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, any other questions?
Oh, yeah. Is it possible that you could give us the link to those 2 statutes if you have it?
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Oh, it is?
There's a
Perfect.
PDF. It says
I
PDF.
see. Yep.
PDF.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, I just saw it.
PDF file. So I had a question come up. What are you guys using to find good tenants for medium-term rentals? Say you have a unit that's 3 to 6 months and you need someone in there for 3 to 6 months.
I'm using Furnish Finders.
Furnish Finders.
Yeah, it's work out real well with me. That's what I
Okay.
do is short term with traveling nurses mostly.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's $100 for a year and the service that you get with them, and they don't take any fees at all. So you're
Right.
basically just paying $100 to be on their platform. And then they send you all sorts of inquiries on people that are interested. You have your own platform and then you just post your information on there. And I've had great success with Furnish Finders.
Okay. Has anyone used Airbnb and set a minimum stay of like 90 days or something like that? Anyone done that before in the group?
I'm actually about to try that. I've used Facebook Marketplace and roomies.com. I found one good tenant, one bad one. So, pick of the litter. I guess, yeah, it's all about the screening process, I think. But Roomies and Facebook Marketplace is pretty good.
Is that roomies.com?
Yeah, roomies.com.
Roomies.com. Now that's for renting rooms, right?
Yes.
Okay. But then Facebook.
Oh, you're saying the entire place.
Okay. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace. One of my coaches uses Facebook Marketplace exclusively. And of course, he also says there's no such thing as a bad tenant, only bad landlords. That's his saying, not mine.
Yeah, interesting.
He said,
The one thing with Furnish Finders that I found is that when you vet your tenants out, they actually have a screening a service there that will do it for you as part of their service. And also like if you're doing traveling nurses, the hospitals also do the background check already. So then by the time when they're looking for a place to stay, they already have their contract with the hospital. So then they're coming short term, but their background's already been complete. So then you get the information as to where they're being hired with the hospital. And then it's all confirmed right there on that hospital, the letter that it's confirmed. So that's, I think.
Joy, are you renting out rooms or the entire
rent
place?
out. So I rent out rooms from $1,200 to $1,500 a month for traveling nurses. So I have like a 3-bedroom house and I just rent out the rooms and they have it's all furnished. I furnish the house and then they share the main kitchen and they just come and go and then I just charge a cleaning fee and first month's rent and deposit, and then they pay that and they're here for 3 to 6 months at the most, and they just come and go. And then just have a full kitchen available for them.
It's worked well for me too. Furnished Finder has. In most cases, if it's a 3 to 6 month contract, most cases they'll get renewed as well too for another like 3 months.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
do you feel that oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you feel that these midway stay tenants are typically a lot easier on the property. Like they're, usually there for work, sort of I mean, Airbnb can be hit and miss because some people are coming for work and some are coming to party. So it's really a wide swing there with how they treat the property.
Yeah, I
But as
find
far
them
as Midway
easier.
say,
Yeah, because they're professionals, and so they're literally there just to work, and so they come. It's a place for them to sleep. They come and go. They don't have time to be partying or entertaining, basically. So they, they're very clean. And most of my tenants, I have all the plates and everything available, but they eat off of paper plates. They just, paper plates and plastic. They throw it and they're done. They don't have to deal with cleaning at all. So that's it's worked out real well.
So for me, I've got a nurse staying in my place, and she is never here.
Exactly.
Never here. She's actually works 40 hours at least at the hospital plus overtime. She's on call, so she's goes back and forth all the time. And then on days that she has off, she's traveling around and like doing IVs for people like with a nursing agency and stuff. So yeah, I hardly ever see her.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Gary. I gotta go. Nice meeting you guys. I will be back another day.
Joy, I sent you a message. If you can, just save my number and shoot me a text. I'd love to connect.
Sure. I'll put my number on here for everybody if anybody wants to connect.
Sure. And listen, everyone, we do need to get off because I try to keep this down to an hour. I wanted to let you know that this landlord association is part of Alchemist Nation. Alchemist Nation is a group of like-minded individuals dedicated to help build wealth among their members. And so the saying is we want to build 100 millionaires who are each inspired to build another 100 millionaires. So I'm going to drop a link for Alchemist Nation in the chat. We would love to have you come. Joy's been with Alchemist Nation for a while. Derek's just joined up with Alchemist Nation not too long ago. Andrew's been with Alchemist Nation almost 5 years. We're hoping to grow a group similar to the way Bigger Pockets works, only Bigger Pockets doesn't have live meetups. And we plan on having at least 4 types of meetups with Alchemist Nation going on in 300 major cities across the nation. So, and landlord associations are one of those types of meetups that we're planning to do. And we're just hoping to be able to spread out and serve other people and add value where we can. So use that link. I would love to have you guys join Alchemist Nation and come see what we're all about. So right now we're going to be setting up the next meeting. We're going to get a Tampa. By the end of the month, I'm going to have a Tampa in-person meetup set. All right. But the next virtual meeting we will set for the 23rd. Let me also encourage you, go to Facebook and search out the landlord association that's closest to you. If you're near the Fort Myers, there's a Fort Myers Landlord Association Facebook group. If you're in Tampa, it's called Tampa Bay Landlord Association. And if you're in Orlando, there's the Orlando Landlord Association. And then I've got another one that's the Central Florida Landlord Association. Those are all Facebook groups. You can just join. If you have questions in those Facebook groups, throw the questions up. I monitor those groups. I post to those groups every day. And if you have you've also got my email addresses. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to shoot it to me. It'd be great if we get some questions that are coming in and I can get them to Derek, especially if we have some legal questions or things like that, I can get them to Derek ahead of time. And we can discuss as we come together in the meetings, because if you've got a question, most likely somebody else has the same question. So it's great to get that out into the open so that we can have these open discussions and talk about things that are affecting us all. Great information, Derek. I really want to say appreciate you bringing that information and keeping an eye on what's going on in Florida Legislature for us. That's awesome. It's great to have an attorney on our side, right, guys? And then Andrew, really
thank you so much, Derek, for the value you provide.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Andrew, thanks for helping me host. Guys, until next time, take care.
Right.